मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथामृतं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Saturday and Sunday series on Sri Harinam Chintamani. We have started the fourth chapter of Sri Harinam Chintamani, and in the last class we discussed few verses of this fourth chapter, which is now beginning from 4 to almost till 12 chapters. That is the Dashanam Aparadha. So I will just brief what we discussed in the last class and then we will continue our discussion. In the last class, we started this chapter, Sadhu Ninda or Namaparad. Among the Namaprads, the first one is Sadhu Ninda, criticizing Vaishnavas. And we saw the connection after Bhaktivinoda Thakur has discussed in the third chapter Namabhas. Then he comes now to the discussion of Namaprad. So first three verses speak about the invocation, and then Haridas Thakur speaks about the 10 offenses. There are 10 offenses, and I should be always fearful about not committing these 10 offenses. And then he starts listing the 10 offenses. After listing the 10 offenses, then he separately mentions from this, actually the 10 offenses there in the Padma Puran. It is part of the Padma Puran, the 10 offenses. Then he separately lists inattentive chanting and to maintain the conception of I and mine, even though one understands the glories of the holy name. And then Haridas Thakur begins to discuss the first offense, Vaishnava Aparad or Sadhu Ninda, Pratama Aparad. And in this context, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, takes the subject of, Sadhura Lakshan. There are two types of qualities of a sadhu, Swarup and Tatastha. In this context, I had not prepared the slides, but here just brief touch of what we had discussed, criticizing Vaishnavas, Namaprad, and especially Sadhu Ninda. He goes on to speak actually who is a sadhu, who is a devotee. How do you recognize a sadhu, whether by his external dress or whether he's performing some spiritual activities or he's doing tremendous tapasya. So how do we recognize the sadhu? The sadhu is recognized by only one quality, Krishneka Sharanam. This is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions as the Sarupa Lakshan. The remaining qualities, the 25 qualities, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes in detail and explains this from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, these are called as the Tatashtas Lakshan. And these manifest slowly, in the body of a pure Vaishnava. But how do we recognize the sadhu is only by the Swarup Lakshan and not by the Tatastha Lakshan. We usually, as I was mentioning in the last class, recognize a devotee from the Tatastha Lakshan, not from the Swarupa Lakshan. So we had this discussion quite in detail. Now, today we will go further into detail about, is there any other external lakshans by which we can recognize a sadhu? Bhaktivinoda Thakur starts, negating even these, especially on the basis of varnashram, or somebody is, is a grahastha or a sannyasi. All these are external designations, and the only way we can recognize the sadhu is by only one quality, that is Krishneka Sharanam. So that's how he is going to now discuss from further verses from here on. So let us take now text 22 onwards. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to discuss whether there are 22 to 25 the outward signs of varnashram. One does not become a saintly devotee by wearing a certain kind of clothing. Taking shelter of Krishna is the mark of a true devotee. So we cannot recognize the sadhu just by if he's wearing a saffron. Somebody might be a millionaire running a business, empire, and he might be considered as a sadhu, although he is wearing suit and boot. So these outward signs are not a sign of a saintly devotee. Only his internal, whether in his heart he has taken shelter of Krishna. So this is the theme. So let us now discuss text 22. Varnashrama chinna nana veshera rachana sadhura lakshana kabuna hoy ganana. Certain kinds of clothing mark the various positions of in varnashram. Varnashrama chinna nana veshera rachana. So based on the varnashram, somebody is a brahmachari, somebody is a grahastha, somebody is a vanaprastha, somebody is a sannyasi. And all these, brahmacharis have their different clothing, grahasthas have their different clothing, vanaprasthas are, having deer skin, doing tapasya and austerity in the forest. The sannyasis are wearing saffron. But these are not the sadhura lakshan. Kabuna hoy ganana. However, a devotee is not recognized by such characteristics. Then he makes the point very emphatic. Shri Krishna Sharanagati Sadhura Lakshan Tara Mukhya Hoy Krishna Nama Sankirtan. Complete surrender to Lord Krishna is the mark of a devotee. Shri Krishna Sharanagat Sadhura Lakshan. Now this Sharanagati again is a process. And somebody who has got faith, somebody who has come in the association of sadhus and has started bhajan kriya, he is also a surrendered devotee. That one should be very, very clear. And this complete, surrender culminates in pure love, where one has 100% faith, one is 100% having sadhu sangha, one is 100% doing bhajan kriya, One is 100% free from the anarthas. One is having 100% nishta, steadiness in Krishna consciousness. One who has 100% taste in chanting. One has 100% attachment to Krishna. One has 100% attraction to Krishna, bhava, and one has a pure heart which is filled with prema. That is complete surrender. But even if somebody has 10% faith, 10% is associating with sadhus, 5% he is doing bhajan kriya, still he is a surrendered devotee, Krishnika Sharanam. So that is the sole basis on which you understand who is a sadhu. Anyone who has taken shelter of Krishna and is engaged in chanting the holy names of Krishna. Tara Mukhya Hoy Krishna Nama Sankirtan. Such a devotee's tongue is engaged in chanting Lord Krishna's holy name. So this is a very important emphasis. And as we brought out in the slide also, that it is the sole quality, Krishneka Sharanam, that is to be, seen. Further, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Grihi Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Nyasi Bheda, Shudra Vaishya, Shatra, Vipraghanera Prabheda. Grahastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi are the first four divisions. And Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahmana are the second four divisions of Varnashram. So, Varna and Ashram. So, based on the Varna, somebody is a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. And based on the ashram, somebody is a brahmachari, somebody is a grahastha, somebody is a vanaprastha, and somebody is a sannyasi. Now, there is a small footnote. A person who marries within his varna is called as grahastha. A celibate student who has not yet married is called brahmachari. A person growing old with years goes to live in the forest is called vanaprastha. A person who becomes renounced and leaves his home is called as a nyasi. Nyas means he has renounced, and sannyas means samyak rupena nyas. Samyak means completely renounced. So that is the meaning of sannyas. Many times, we call, these are sannyasis, but what exactly is the, meaning of sannyas is samyak rupena nyas. Completely renounced, perfectly renounced, or that is how you can say. Sadhutva ka khana nahi hoibe nirnita Krishne ka sharana sadhu shastrera vihita. These divisions do not determine who is a devotee. Sadhutva ka khana nahi hoibe nirnita. Nirnita means it cannot be decided based on these divisions. According to scriptures, shastrera vihita, one who takes shelter, full shelter of Lord Krishna is known as a devotee. Krishneka Sharanam Sadhu Shastri Ravihita. So only based on this only, we have to determine who is a sadhu and not on any other factors. Further now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur goes, this now he has described from the Varnashram perspective. Now, from the Gaudiya Vaishnava perspective, Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes it still more clear. Now, during Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, there were only, within the Vaishnava community, there were only two divisions. Varnashram, we know that slowly with the beginning of Kali Yuga, Varnashram, the original system which was set up for progressive spiritual realization, slowly went into shambles. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he took sannyas and he was in the sannyas ashram, but the Goswamis, they did not accept the renounced order of life. So they were actually in the Babaji Vesh, and they were actually Paramhamsas. And the six Goswamis, being very particular and sensitive during the time in which they were there, they were coming from all different backgrounds, especially Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami. They were considered as Muslims. So they were like out from the Varnashram. They were not considered part of Varnashram only. So they did not take the sannyas order because the people in general that time would not accept them as being part of the Brahmana community by which they have become grahasthas, then vanaprasthas and sannyas. So they did not want to disturb the people that time, and being humble themselves, they took up to the Babaji Vesh, which is called as a Paramhamsa Vesh, or they are the Paramhamsas. Now, in the sannyas ashram, there are also divisions. There is the Kuticha, Bahudaka, Parivrajacharya, and Paramhamsa. These are the four levels. Now, Kutichaka means that after the Vanaprastha or even after the Grahastha life, one renounces family and goes and stays far away outside the village, away from the family. He makes a kutir and he stays there. And the wife sometimes also comes and gives prasad. But later on, from Kutichaka, he goes to the Bahudaka stage. Bahudaka stage means Bahu means many, Udaka means stomach. So he now gives a complete connection with the family and goes from home to home and does madhukari or begging. That is called as the Bahudaka stage. And then there is the Parivrajacharya. Parivrajacharya refers to one who starts wandering in different places preaching the message. And these orders in the Varnashram, they all wear saffron. But the Paramhamsa stage is completely a transcendental stage. And a Vaishnava actually means one who is on the Paramhamsa stage. Vaishnava means he is transcendental to the three modes. He is transcendental even to the Varnashram in one sense. Because Varnashram is within the three modes. Goodness, passion, and ignorance. Chatur Varnaya Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasham. So in that sense, Varnashram is within the modes. But Vaishnava means one who is transcendental. So the six Goswamis were completely transcendental and they were Paramhamsas. And being Paramhamsas, that's why they took to this, Babaji Vesh, where it was, a loin cloth, the white cloth. They were wearing a white loin cloth and a cloth on their top. So they were actually Paramhamsas in one sense, and they were topmost pure Vaishnavas, Mahabhagavats, and they had transcended also Varnashram. In fact, the whole, Vaishnav Dharma is completely a transcendental process. So the six Goswamis accepted this Paramhamsa Vesh or the Babaji Vesh, and slowly down the line, that time there were only two types of ashrams. One is called, within the Vaishnava circle I'm speaking now. One is called as the Grahastha and other is called as the Grahatyagi. So the Grahastha is a Vaishnava who within the family practices Krishna consciousness. And a Grahatyagi is after, practicing Krishna consciousness for a couple of years with maturity when he attains Bhava or Prema stage, and he directly takes to the Babaji Vesh, that is the Paramhamsa Vesh. So that was the system after the six Goswamis, during the time of six Goswamis and after that also. And slowly, this was how Krishna consciousness was spreading. And what happened is, when the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were lost, there were many Apasampradayas. And these Apasampradayas were not at the exalted level of the Paramhamsas. They were completely addicted to all sorts of nonsense, illicit sex, doing all intoxication. And they were also wearing these Babaji's Vesh. And they were trying to imitate the dress of the Goswamis. That's it, external imitation. But internally, they were not at the level of the Paramhamsas. So that is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur, although he was a Grahastha in the Vaishnava context, later on, after renouncing the family life, Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur took the Babaji Vesh, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself is a liberated soul. He's a Nitya Siddha. Later on in Jagannath Puri, when he was doing his bhajan, he actually took to the Babaji Vesh. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in order to uproot these all upper sampradayas, and although Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was also a Paramhamsa, he is a Nitya Siddha, he is from the spiritual world, and he was on the Paramhamsa stage right from the beginning. We know his life. But still, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to preach the Krishna consciousness, he accepted the sannyas order of life within the Varnashram and took a humble position that we are part of Varnashram and we are sannyasis. Although Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a Paramhamsa, and for preaching, he recruited the brahmacharis and in fact gave them also saffron for preaching purpose. So that is how the whole history I'm just explaining now, because Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to speak about the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis. Even the Grahasthas and the Grahatyagis, their Lakshan is also Krishneka Sharanam. So that is what he is going to establish now. If you have any questions regarding what we just discussed as a brief background also, you can raise your hands. So let us now see the qualities of a Grahastha devotee. Grihi Sadhu Lakshan. Now these instructions are taught by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami when he was a Grahastha. Raghunath Das Laksha Kariya Sevara Grihi Sadhu Jane Shikayache Eisara. O Lord, you taught Raghunath Das Goswami how to be a householder devotee and how to act as one. Raghunath Das se Laksha. Laksha means you, through the life of Raghunath Das Goswami, by teaching to Raghunath Das Goswami, you taught to all other Grahasthas Laksha Kari. Just like, when Prabhupada gives the standard psychology in the Vedic family life, like when there is the daughter-in-law who is married and is come, and the mother-in-law has to teach the daughter-in-law, she cannot directly tell her, so she will instruct her own daughter. She will speak to her own daughter, but she'll be indicating to the daughter-in-law. So that's how subtle, the whole teaching of the Vedic, family life was, how teachings have to be imparted. So by, telling the daughter, you don't do this, it is not proper, the mother-in-law, she's indicating to the daughter-in-law. So that's how she teaches, because directly if she tells her daughter-in-law, she might be hurt, her false ego might be hurt, and she might go back to the parents' house. So many of the fights today in even Krishna conscious life or in the outside world happen because they don't understand the subtle psychology of how the soul psychology they don't understand, and how things have to be properly communicated. We don't understand that. So that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Lakshakari, indicating to Raghunath Das Goswami, he has taught to all the Grahasthas within, who are coming in the Krishna conscious movement. So he has taught that. So there is one question. Let me take it up. Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Yes.
Prabhuji, the sannyas ashram, what you are referring, Prabhuji, we have seen that it has been forbidden in Kali Yuga to accept among the four things, and we do see Mayavadis also accept.
Wait. Hold on. First is your question is that sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
First, let me clear that. Now, see, we have to understand the Shastras and get the deeper meaning of the Shastras and come to conclusions. Now, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has quoted this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has quoted this in the Chaitanya Charitamrita with conversation with Chand Kazi. This is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes this to Chand Kazi, while preaching to him. And please remember, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting this, that, 5 things. And there is Ashwamedh Yagya, killing of, Ashwamedh Yagya, doing Ashwamedh offerings, killing of animals in sacrifice, and then Sannyas Ashram. 5 things, I think. I don't recollect the verse. So this is forbidden in Kali Yuga, because, when Chand Kazi, said that, even you, followers of Vedic Dharma, you do animal sacrifices, and animal sacrifice you do, so it is meant for eating of the meat. So that was how he was presenting it. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said it is forbidden in Kali Yuga. Now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, as a Grahastha, put forth this argument, or put forth this verse as a counter to Chand Kazi, but he himself accepted the sannyas order of life. Now, how do we explain that? Now, Vaishnav Dharma or spiritual principles are very, very deep. And to understand the conclusions of even scriptural quotations, we need to rely on the acharyas. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives an explanation to this and explains that karma sannyas, what which is referred in that verse, that is from the Dharma Shastras. So from the Dharma Shastra point of view, karma sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga. Karma sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga. Karma sannyas means what? Within the Varnashram, those are practicing dharma, they can be karma kandis. Slowly they evolve to karma yoga, and practicing such detached lives, slowly, ultimately now, practicing karma yoga, they get purified. And now in order to attain liberation, they might either take to Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. So that time they have to take, they have to give up the karma, and take up to the, other process of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga to further attain liberation. So that kind of karma sannyas is forbidden in Kali Yuga, because there is no Varnashram today. Nobody is following Varnashram Dharma for purification, gradual purification, to ultimately attain, the path of liberation. But Vaishnav sannyas for preaching purpose, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself accepted, and that is the mood of the parampara. I hope this is first thing very, very clear to you and all of you.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. And what about this Mayavadis? They do also have this sannyasa concept still underway.
See, these Mayavadis specifically, are first of all not qualified to take sannyas. Why? Because for taking up the sannyas order of life, the first prerequisite is the purification of the heart. And the purification of the heart happens by performing karma yoga. Only by the performance of karma yoga, the purification of the heart happens. And when the purification of the heart happens, then you can take up to the renounced order. So directly, just by taking up to the renounced order, there is no purification of the heart which happens. Just by wearing saffron, it doesn't happen. Danda grahanena nar narayana bhavet. It's not possible. Secondly, in the Gita, Krishna 3.4 is making it very clear. Na karmana anarambam naishkarmam purusha ashnute. Na cha sannyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. 3.4, very clear Krishna is saying, na karma anarambam. Without performing karma yoga, aramba means, to begin. And you cannot attain to the state of Naishkarmya. Naishkarmya is the state where your heart is purified from pious and sinful reactions, and you are at this level of Sthita Pragya. Sthita Pragya stage. So without performing Karma Yoga, you cannot attain Sthita Pragya or the purification of the consciousness of the heart. That is what Krishna is telling Arjuna. And nacha sanyasana deva. And just by taking up the renounced order of life, you cannot attain Siddhi. So this was a bewildering, Mayavad philosophy which Shankaracharya, came forth to propagate. He had a purpose that time. He had a purpose by which he could bring back the teachings of the Veda, bring back people back to the fold of the Vedas, because only by following Vedas, ultimately one can achieve perfection. And that was one step. And ultimately, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us the highest, teaching of the Veda in the form of Achinta Bheda Veda Tattva. So that one should be very, very clear. Any other questions? Anyone has? Okay, fine. Minors improve. You are clear and satisfied with this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. So it means that they are jumped directly to sannyas ashram. That will not be fruitful. It is not for purification, rather it is for higher stages.
Yeah, it's without purification of the heart. If we just wear saffron, even what to speak, I don't want to go into the details. Even as practicing Vaishnava Dharma, even if without the purification of the Anarth Nivritti stage happening, if within now our institute, if somebody takes to sannyas, then that can be also disturbance to the society. So Prabhupada is very clear in his purports in the Gita and the Bhagavatam that one should have crossed Anarth Nivritti, one should become completely free from, Prabhupada we have been discussing the second canto, wherein repeatedly in the second chapter, third chapter, fourth chapter, Prabhupada is hammering and saying that, for Vaishnava Sannyas also, without being free from the gross anartha of sex life, no one should take to the renounced order of life, Prabhupada is saying. So he is referring now to the Vaishnava Sannyasis within the Krishna conscious movement. So without even the purification happening by bhajan, kriya, anarth nivritti has not happened and we are not pure at heart, we should also not accept the sannyas ashram within the Vaishnava Dharma also. That should be very clear, Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Okay.
Prabhupada.
So let us now continue. Okay, I gave the whole background of this Grahastha and Grahatyagi because from that perspective, Thakur is going to explain. So what was the teachings for Raghunath Das Goswami? Sthira hoye ghare oy, na hoye batola, krame krame paye loka, bhava sindhu kula. You said to him, be peaceful, sthira hoye, go home, ghare oy. Don't be a madman. No hoy bhatula. Gradually, you will cross over the ocean of birth and death. Krame krame pai loka bhava sindhu kula. So, especially sometimes, many grahasthas who are practicing Krishna consciousness, when they take up Krishna consciousness and they find some attraction in Krishna, they are sometimes very eager. There is a lot of utsaha. Somehow they want to give up family life quickly and, take up full into Krishna consciousness. But it requires extreme purification of heart. And that is why this kind of, utsamai stage is there in the beginning. What to speak in the beginning, even at the many years of practice of grahasthas who are practicing Krishna consciousness, they might also come up with these kind of things, but we should have those lakshanas. We should practically be at the stage of nishta in order to even give up, gradually settle the family and go and practice Krishna consciousness more deeply. And for us as grahasthas, in fact, what is the standard is that one is more into preaching. the more one can do preaching as a grahastha, that will be the standard, and not to, try to give up artificially family life where one is situated. So one should be in the family life and devote slowly more to preaching. And only if, with the purification of the heart and in these advanced stages, he can, think of, settling the family completely and maybe taking up to the renounced order. So these are very fine matters, and that's why I'm just bringing out here. But usually grahasthas have this utsamay stage where they come up with these newfound ideas, but it is difficult. Markata vairagya chada loka dekhaya yatha yogya vishaya bunja anasaktan, give up monkey, premature renunciation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying Markata vairagya chada, give up, loka dekaya, just to impress people, yatha yogya, vishaya bunja, without attachment except what material pleasures are appropriate. Anasakta han. So there are three types of vairagya which are, very well known. One is called as Markata vairagya, that is monkey renunciation. Second is called as Falgu vairagya. And the third, which is practiced in Krishna consciousness, is called as Yukta Vairagya. Now, I will not go into the definition of Yukta Vairagya and all these others. It is a subject matter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But I would like to suffice and say here, Falgu Vairagya is practiced by the Gyanis in the Jnana path, where they give up matter and try to become attached to spirit. It is artificial renunciation. Whereas Yukta Vairagya is, we see matter as the energy of Krishna and engage that in Krishna service. And this we do in a renounced spirit. So even prasadam, is Krishna's energy, and we accept it as it is required for the maintenance of body and soul. So, and we don't try to enjoy prasad. So with detachment, we accept as Krishna's mercy, and that's how we practice Yukta Vairagya. It's a very elaborate topic, but I'm not going to discuss. Anasakta Vishayan Yata Ramba, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchati. That verse is there. Antare Nishta Kare Bhaya Loka Vyavhara Achire Shri Krishna Toma Karibe Udhara. Internally cultivate firm faith. So internally start practicing firm faith. At the same time, externally act as an ordinary person. So externally act as an ordinary person. Lord Krishna will soon deliver you. So internally we should practice this Yukta Vairagya. Engage all our energy, whatever resources we have in Krishna service, in a detached spirit. And externally also, you are a pound and shilling man. You are well known in the society as a businessman. And at the same time, you are practicing internally your Krishna consciousness. So that is how Raghunath Das Goswami is being, because Raghunath Das Goswami was a pound and shilling man. He was a millionaire, in fact. So, but he was told these instructions how to practice. So this is for the grahasthas, what instruction he's giving. Virendra Yadav Prabhuji, yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, this is what we can understand, that this is a pravritti marg which we hear in Bhagavatam.
No. So this is a mistake again. See, there is a nivritti marg and the pravritti marg. The pravritti marg is the path of karma kanda, where there is dharma for dharma artha kamam, practiced. The nivritti marg is that part of dharma which is meant for attaining moksha, liberation. There is detachment of matter and attachment to spirit by the path of Jnana Yoga. Brahma Upasana, where we, detach ourselves from matter because it is source of bondage. But bhakti is, the Nivritti Marg is called as Nivritti, and the Pravritti Marg is called as Aparadharma. But the Bhakti Marg is Paradharma, where we see matter as Krishna's energy and engage matter in Krishna's service. From Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur standard, if you see, he was a sannyasi, and practically he had a Rolls-Royce car, kind of a Rolls-Royce car only he had. And during his time, there were only 2 people in Calcutta who had that kind of a car. That was the kind of opulence. He was just trying to attract the Bhadraloka, the intellectual class of people in Bengal, by his preaching. And he was using all this in Krishna service. So he was completely, before using this kind of opulences in Krishna service, what was his bhajan? 9.5 years he was sitting in a kutir next to the Ganges, in Mayapur at the Yogapita, and just sitting and doing bhajan. And he was in a hut. When it was raining, he used to keep his umbrella and chant every day 3 lakh names. And what was his food? He used to cook boiled rice, and handful of boiled rice, he used to keep it on the floor and lick it and eat, just like a cow does it. So that kind of, renunciation is practiced, and that kind of, Yukta Vairagi he practiced in the form of having Rolls-Royce cars and all this. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur had that anasakta vishaya. Yata Ramba Upayunjita Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagya Uchate. So now, for us, this Yukta Vairagya to practice, the first criteria, if you see, is Anasakta Vishaya. We are not Anasakta first. We are Asakta still. So we slowly try to develop Asakti towards Krishna by chanting Krishna's names, by being attached to reading Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. And slowly dovetail what we are attached to. We know our attachments. If we introspect, that whatever we are attached to, we should offer to Krishna. So slowly, this is how we do it. And then slowly, when this, detached spirit will come, this detached spirit will come only when we are at the higher stages of bhakti, especially at ruchi and asakti. So till then, we are attached to, things of this world. We are attached to so many things of this world. But we should, offer them to Krishna. That's why one of the limbs of bhakti, Rupa Goswami says, Krishna Priti Bhogadi Tyaga Krishna Hetava. Bhogadi Tyaga, we should renounce all the things of what we have liking for the pleasure of Krishna. During Kartik Mass, we know what is dear to us. We like sweet rice or gulab jamun. But we give that up for 1 month for the pleasure of Krishna. We are asakt, but we try to become anasakt. So that's how slowly we practice. So ours is not the Nivritti Marg. I hope it is clear.
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? I'm going a little slow, but I don't mind because I want to clear, these concepts, very, very important concepts, which we need to understand, especially the Grahastha and the Grahatyagi. Now he comes to the Grahatyagi. Grahatyagi Sadhu Laksham. I have already clarified what is the Grahastha and the Grahatyagi during Bhakti Vinod Thakur's time. Later on, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur established, the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sannyas order. He, from the Paramahamsa stage, he took a humble position of being within the Varnashram. Now, for that, for practice, for preaching purpose, he did. And what he established is not Varnashram, but what is it called as Daivi Varnashram. Now, this Daivi Varnashram is again a different topic. We will not go into it now. But suffice to say that, there is no establishment of, that you're a Brahmana, you're a Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra, or somebody is a Grahastha, somebody is a Brahmachari, or somebody is Sannyasi. These are all again external designations within the Vaishnava community. What he tried to establish is to lead a simple life based on agricultural life, agrarian life, so that we can get time to practice Krishna consciousness. So the Daivi Varnashram is ultimately meant to attain Krishna consciousness. And even in Vaishnava society, we should not identify, oh, he's a Grahastha Vaishnava, he is a Brahmachari Vaishnava, he is a Sannyasi Vaishnava, or oh, he is a Brahmana Vaishnava, oh, he is a Kshatriya Vaishnava. He does management, he is a Kshatriya Vaishnava. No. Vaishnava is Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is completely a transcendental designation, a devotee of Krishna. Whereas Varnashram are designations based within the modes. So Vaishnavism is completely transcendental, but we not be transcendental right now. We are within the modes. We are practicing bhakti. That bhakti is transcendental. But the anarthas are there, the modes. These modes are itself also the anarthas. But with the practice of bhakti, when we cross the stage of anarth nivriti, then stitve sattvam prasidati. We are now situated on the transcendental platform. So that we should be very, very clear. So Graha Tyagi, let us see. Puna tumi taradheki vairagya grahana Eimata Shiksha Dila Apurva Shravana. Seeing that Raghunath Das Swami had renounced Grahast life, Punatumi Taradegi Vairagya Grahan. You gave him these instructions which are wonderful to hear. So now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed the same Raghunath Das Swami not to do Markat Vairagya, but do Yukt Vairagya. And once he perfected that, his heart was pure. Krishna gave him mercy by which he could renounce family life and fully surrender to Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and take up the renounced order of life. Now, these instructions which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is now giving is to the renounced order of life, for the renounced sannyasis, Vaishnava sannyasis to be specific. Gramya katana shunibe, gramya vartana kahibe, bhalana khaibe, or bhalana paribe. Do not hear gossip. Gramya katana shunibe. Do not speak gossip. Gramya vartana kahibe. Don't eat opulent foods. Bhalana khaibe. Don't wear opulent clothing. Bhalana paribe. So Gramya Katha. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is one verse in the 9th chapter and then the 8th chapter also. Indriya Gramyam, it is mentioned. Indriya Gramya means, Gramya Katha means basically talks of sense gratification. Indriya Gramya. The senses are attracted to sense objects. Indriya Gramya, that is the term used. So, what is Gramya Katha means? Talks about sense gratification. So one should, being in the renounced order of life, never talk about sense gratification and not also eat opulent food. And we know what kind of renunciation Raghunath Das Goswami has practiced to set an example for the ideal Vaishnava sannyasis. It's unimaginable. Initially, firstly, he used to feed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the money what the servants used to get from his parents and uncles, with that money he was feeding. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accept his invitation, but later on he said, "Oh, this money is coming from my uncles who earn by business, and it is sense gratification." So he stopped calling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Govinda, why is Raghunath Das Goswami not inviting me?" Oh, now he feels that that the money he is utilizing for feeding you is coming from sense gratificatory sources, so that's why he's not inviting. Oh, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very pleased. Good, I'm happy about it. Vishera Anna Khaila, Malin Hoye Man. That's where he spoke this. Then he was accepting the remnants of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regularly. Govinda is giving him, but still he stopped that and started begging in front of the Simha whatever Madhukari he was doing. But in his mind, he thought this is also like prostitution, because I'm always expecting, oh, maybe this this person might give me some, prasad, or this might give me some roti. So this kind of expectation is also not good. So he gave up that. And then what was left as refuse, the Jagannath, cooking what is to happen, and the remaining thing which was there left as refuse, which the cows used to go and eat, and they also could not handle it. Raghunath Das Goswami used to take that rice, wash it and eat it. This, is very extreme. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased that he went, caught his hand, took that grain and himself tasted it. So this was the renunciation which Raghunath Das Goswami manifested. And through Raghunath Das Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught how the sannyasis in the Krishna conscious movement should practice, not eating opulent food. And even if opulent food is offered to Vaishnava sannyasis, they are not attached to it. They eat it in a very detached spirit, which we can't imagine also. And opulent clothing, yes, it is not recommended, but decent clothing for preaching purpose is always recommended. Amanina manadahan Krishna nama sadalebe vrajera da Krishna seva manasa karibe. Don't desire honor from others. This is again after the stage of Nishtha only. When one is in pure consciousness, he will never accept honors from others. Give all honor to others. Manada, give honor to others. Always chant Lord Krishna's holy names. Krishna Nam Sada Lebe. This is also possible only after the stage of Nishtha. And in your heart serve Radha and Krishna. Vraje Radha Krishna Seva Manasa Karibe. So this Manasa Seva also begins at the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. In Raganuga Bhakti, we start externally practicing the limbs of devotion also, and internally we go in deep meditation, performing our bhajan. So this is all a very advanced stage, as we can see. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur comes to the point after discussing Grahastha and Grahatyagi. Grihi o Grahatyagi ubera e Swarupa Lakshan. Now he comes to the point. The one primary quality shared by a Grahas devotee and a devotee who has renounced Grahas life. Swarupa Lakshan Eka Sarvatra Saman Ashramadhi Bheda Pratak Tatasta Vidan. The Swarupa Lakshan, or the principal symptom, that is again surrender to Lord Krishna, must be there in the devotee, whether he is a Grahastha or whether he is a Grahatyagi. Distinctions that begin with Varnashram are all secondary. Now, even in ISKCON, somebody is a Grahastha, somebody is a Vanaprastha, or somebody is a Sannyasi, somebody is a Brahmachari. These designations are all external. We should see if that Grahastha is more surrendered to Krishna, he is Krishneka Sharanam, he is a sadhu. So that is the prime lakshan by which we see. Ananya Sharane Yadi Deki Durachar Tatapi Se Sadhu Boli Seva Sabakar. Now here is a very, very deep and instruction which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is giving now. Now one slide I forgot to show you all. Now here is that slide summarized till 32. Not related to devotee, varna, ashrama, age, strength, beauty, wealth, followers, these other things. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken about varna and ashram, and he has also spoken about graha and grahatyagi. But all these other factors are also not related to devotee. Now from here onwards, further in 33 to 36, the Swarup Lakshan is only to be the symptom to recognize a Vaishnava. And even if a person who has completely taken shelter of Lord Krishna, Ananya Sharan Yadi Dekhi, durachar, acts inappropriately, I still consider him innocently person. Tatapi se sadhu, boli, I will still consider, Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying, such a person should be served by everyone. Seva sabakar. Now, this is one of the most confidential teachings in the Vaishnava Dharma. And which verse is Bhaktivinoda Thakur referring to here? All can type in the chat box. Which verse is he referring? You can type in the chat box. There is one answer I got now. I'm expecting from others also. Yeah, second answer also is correct. What is this 34 meaning? Which verse from the Bhagavad Gita is referring to? Which verse from the Bhagavad Gita? He is referring to Api Chet Suduracharo Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak Sadhureva Samantavya Samvyak Vyavasthito Hi Saha. Api Chet Sudurachar, if he performs any Sudurachar activity, Bhajate Mam Ananyabhak, but he is engaged in bhakti, that is Ananyasharan, Sadhureva. He should be considered as a sadhu. This is Krishna saying. This is what Krishna is saying. So still I will consider him as sadhu. And this is also Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying. So we should accept him as a sadhu. You know, samvyak vyavasthito is perfectly situated. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur is telling that here. Eita Shri Krishna Vakya Gita Bhagavate Ihaka Pujibhayatna Sada Sarvamate. Lord Krishna says this in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Therefore, I will earnestly worship such a devotee. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, I refer to the verses. In Srimad Bhagavatam, I'll refer now. But even if he's a Sudurachari, if he's Aranya Sharana, what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying? I will earnestly worship such a devotee. So this, if one can do, one will be 100% successful in spiritual life because he will never commit the sadhu ninda. And if one doesn't do sadhu ninda, one will get taste for chanting, and every spiritual truth will be revealed in his heart, and he will never be inclined to criticize sadhus. If there's one thing, if we can do, avoid sadhu ninda, we will attain perfection. So in the Gita and Bhagavatam, I have discussed these verses quite in detail in other seminars, so I will not be discussing, but these are the two verses. Hare Krishna. Sorry, the net connection went off. So I was referring to the Bhagavatam verse. Let me once again show the slide. Yeah. Veda dukkhatmakam kamam parityaga anishvara tato bhajet mam prita shraddhalu drida nishchaya jushamanscha tan ka dukkhadarkamscha garyayan. having awakened faith in the narration of my glories. Jata Shraddho Mat Katasu. So he has awakened faith in Krishna Katha, Shravan Kirtan, that is pure faith of the soul. Being being disgusted with all prescribed activities, that is Varnashram, Nirvina Sarva Karmasu, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, Veda Dukh Atmakam Kamam, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment. Parityag Api Anishwara. My devotee should remain happy, Tato Prita, and worship me, Mam Bhajit, with great faith and conviction, Shraddhalu Drina Nishchaya. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, Jushaman Satan Kaman, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to miserable result. Dukkha udar comes, and he sincerely repents such activities. Cha Gareyan. So the classic symptoms of Vaidhi Sadhaka Bhakti is Jata Shraddha Mat Katasu. He has awakened faith in Bhakti. He doesn't take to Karma path, Jnana path, or Ashtanga Yoga. He understands sense gratification is source of misery. Yahi samsarsha jab hoga, dukkha imaivate. But because of the anarthas, he is not able to give up sense gratification. He is unable to give up. Parityabak up Anishwara, because Vishaya Sangara is going on. He engages in sense gratification because sometimes his senses sometimes fall trap to sense gratification. He sincerely repents for such acts. Krishna is giving instructions. Tato bhajet mam prita shraddhalu drida nishaya. Remain happy and worship me with great faith. Ultimately, with bhajan kriya, anarthas will be destroyed, and then the senses will no more trouble us. So till that anarth nivritti happens, there is always trouble that the devotee might, fall into sinful activities, and we might consider him as a sadhu. Krishna also, another verse in the Uddhav Gita mentions that he says that vikarma yat chot patitam. If my devotee tektva anya bhavasya pare hare parisha, he has given up all other paths. Swapada moolam bhajata. He has taken my shelter and he is doing bhajan. And he has given up all other paths. Tektva anya bhavasya hare parisha. Vikarma chot patitam yadi. If he performs any vikarma, still what? I will purify him in my heart. I will purify him. Vidnoti, Ridhi. I will purify his heart, not to worry about it. So, like that, many verses are there. So, we should have firm faith in that even if there are some anarthas you see in the, practicing devotees, or some devotees fall into trap of suduracharya activities, abominable sinful activities, still he is to be considered as a sadhu. I'll just finish this one verse and take up questions. Ihate ache ta eka nighura siddhanta kripa kari jani ache tai paya anta. O Lord, you mercifully gave this one confidential teaching. That one confidential teaching of the Bhagavad Gita 9.30 and 31, if you understand, and the Bhagavatam Uddham Gita verses, I have no power to find the end of your mercy. Kripa kari jani ache ta paye anta. What a compassion Krishna has. If you can understand the heart of Krishna, even if his devotee commits the most abominable and sinful activity, but if he's engaged in Krishna consciousness, Krishna sees him as a sadhu. And if we see him as a sadhu, and we find faults and criticize him, that is what is Vaishnava Aparadh or Sadhu Ninda, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur, after establishing this, is going to come to that discussion of Sadhu Ninda. Yes, Maya Narsingh Prabhuji, you have a question?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. Prabhu, the verse which you quoted with reference to that, and also what you said about Lord Chaitanya's teaching to Raghunath Das Goswami, eating about palatial, opulent food and opulent dressing. So it was told in the respect of sannyasi. But many times we see devotees quote this for other places also, saying that we should not do. Whereas Bhagavatam says that bhakti is beyond external engagements. As it is said in the similar verse, Yadrichaya matkatado jata shraddhastu yapuman na nirvinno nati sakto bhakti yogasya siddhida. So how to see
No,
this, Prabhu?
one minute. You have to be clear about one question at a time. Don't mix up two things. The verse which you are quoting and the subject which you are mentioning are two different things. That verse which you quoted refers to the path of Bhakti Yoga. The path of Bhakti Yoga, who is qualified to take? One who is not too much attached to sense gratification, or one who is not too much detached. One who is attached to sense gratification, he can take up to the path of Karma Kanda. One who is too detached, he is qualified to take the path of Jnana Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga. But somebody who is not too attached, not too detached, he is qualified to take the path of Bhakti Yoga, that is the middle path. So that is the discussion which is happening in the Gita. Who is qualified to take up Bhakti Yoga? That is the verse which you quoted. Now, I did not see any connection between what question you asked and the verse you quoted.
Quoted
So,
means, Prabhu, we have been told that this, by quoting this verse, that we should not wear opulently and we should not eat opulent food. So sometimes it so happens that we are being a grihasthas, we need to do that as a part of our regulative duties towards our families and other times when we go outside. So how to take this verse? This verse is not spoken to grihastha. That's what my point, Prabhu.
Oh, so okay, we'll just specifically stick down to Raghunath Das Goswami's instructions about the instructions for the renounced order of life. Okay, we'll just stick down to that now first. So this now you'll have to see it from two different levels. Now, in the Krishna conscious movement, when somebody comes and takes up to Krishna consciousness, we offer opulent food as bhoga to Krishna, and we partake as prasad. And usually attraction is to nice opulent food in the beginning stages, whether it is brahmacharis or it is grahasthas. So nothing wrong in it. Nothing wrong in it. You can have it because it is prasad, but slowly with, because you are taking prasad and purification is happening, you are taking up chanting, but slowly as we advance and practice Krishna consciousness over a period of years, we also realize that, now I should not have opulent, prasad, even if it is offered to deities. And I need to more, take up to simpler prasad and more practice the spirit of renunciation, spirit of detachment. So that should slowly come. So whether it is grahasthas or it is the brahmacharis or the sannyasis, within the Vaishnava dharma practicing this, we should avoid it over a period of time. For 10-15 years, yes, you can have opulent prasad. We can offer opulent prasad to the deities and have that opulent prasad. But if we want to really advance to higher stages of Krishna consciousness, and develop taste for chanting, we should slowly give these also up. So that is how we should take these instructions and these two different levels.
Prabhuji, it means that it should happen organically. It is not by our external endeavor try to do that.
Yes, that is my point. You cannot do it artificially. It should happen organically. The mother can expect, to have a child. She should be surrendered to the husband, and she should have full faith in the husband that she'll be able to beget the child. But moment, now when the mother is pregnant, she cannot, artificially give birth to the child. It is an organic process. She has to wait for those 9 months. You cannot, within 9 days, give birth to a child, right? So it's a natural evolution. So similarly, in the Krishna conscious practice also, it should happen as a natural evolution with the taste of chanting slowly, taste for even opulent prasad should come down. And when we become more serious in Krishna consciousness, then we would be like to have seriously follow the instructions of nectar of instruction. Prabhupada is speaking in the first verse all these things. One should not have opulent prasad. One should not offer deities prasad with the intention to have them. I like pasta and pizza, so let me offer pasta and pizza and have it. In the beginning stages, okay. And in the beginning stages, if somebody is doing this, if you go and instruct him, he will not be motivated to take up Krishna consciousness further. Let him have it and let him grow. And then he will come up with questions. Oh, what I'm doing it's not right. He will feel after a few years of purification. Then he will come up with questions. That time is the right time to instruct him to that higher levels. So you'll have to give instructions according to individual levels. You cannot give a standard instruction because it is there in our Vaishnava Shastras to each and every one. It is all based on the level of their consciousness. So sometimes that is why preachers, have to give even the answers which are asked by an individual, even in the classes. It can be specific to that individual and it might not apply to others also. The answers.
Yeah.
So that is how it is. It's very tailor-made, the instructions. Is it clear?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very nice, Prabhu.
Okay. So we have finished till text 36 discussion. So the next few verses we will discuss tomorrow. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki jai. Hare